Hello, hello. So today I'm going to do a tutorial about post-processing in Unity. And this is something I've spent a lot of time messing with. It's a topic I seem to be a little bit obsessed about. Um, and something I've been trying to do in various programs. So to cut to the chase, what I'm talking about is screen space, pixel manipulation, or post-processing, but um, basically layering it together on a per object basis. So the idea being you could have one post process of your scene, and then you could have another object which receives a separate screen space post process. It's kind of a mouthful, but it's actually a little. It's simple. Once you'll see what I'm talking about later on. So it's like, say you have a some post process on your entire environment where you're turning it cell shaded, and then you want one character who's like not cell shaded or something like that. Basically, that's it, right? That's the entire concept I'm going for here. And so I've been trying to do this with URP, Universal Render Pipeline. And, cut to chase, it seems like it's just not possible. Like, there's this really long forum thread here about how it's not possible. Um, by the way, just doing post processing in general in URP is very cumbersome. There are a lot of tutorials, YouTube tutorials about how to do it. I sort of tried to follow those. It wasn't really working, and I was just trying to save myself some time. So I ended up buying this package here for $10, which sets you up a stack. So if you wanted to do just like typical post processing in URP, using shaders, not shader graph, so shader code, this package is is a good one. I do recommend it. It does let you stack post process, but you can't distinguish. Like, I can't have this sort of halftone effect on everything except the bucket, for example. And a really common use case for this is UI. Like, you want to post process, but you don't want it to show while your UI is there, or your HUD, or things like that. So let me get right into it in Unity. And so actually, okay, so I'm using standard pipeline here. And it's kind of ironic, URP is like scriptable render pipeline, and I do think it probably is very scriptable, but in my experience so far, the standard pipeline has been a lot easier to use in terms of the shader stuff, setup, post processing. So this is using standard pipeline. If you need this particular effect I'm talking about, you'll probably know if you need this effect. Maybe you're like me and you were trying to figure out for way too long how to do it, but I would say just go for the standard pipeline. Like, if you want to just write shaders using HLSL, it's pretty easy. So here I have, let me just see. So yeah, here I have an empty Unity scene using standard pipeline. So I'm just gonna bring in a package to provide an environment that I downloaded here in a third person controller. Let me just sort by purchase date. Oh, where did that one go? It's one I downloaded a while ago. It's a real drag on the asset store. You don't know which ones work with the standard pipeline versus URP. So, and they're obviously incompatible. So here I'm downloading this third person controller, Basic Locomotion 3. It's this one right here by Invector. It's a pretty cool little third person controller if you just want something real plug and play like. So I'm bringing that in here, and I'm just going to actually load up their demo scene right here. I believe this is it. And if I focus on here, my character, I can press play, move the mouse around, WASTA controls. It's just a straight up little simple thing. There should be a little dingy when I touch that. Yeah. Ooh, that's cool. Wait, that's a video. I thought that was a another camera view, but yeah. Okay, so how are we gonna do this? So let's start off by just adding a post process effect just to everything. Okay, and I'm like gonna do a very simple post-process effect here. I'm probably just gonna, I don't know. Let's just tint it red or something. I'm like not trying to spend too much time on it. But so, okay, so here we have this camera. This is the camera that came with it, right? And I'm gonna add a script here. Let's call this post-process camera. And this part's real easy. So you just open up your script here. And what we're gonna do is delete all this basic, delete us the built-in stuff. We're gonna do a void. What is it? On render image. You know, I have Copilot here, so it, yeah, Copilot basically gave me the whole thing. So it's on render image. It's a callback. It has a render texture source and a destination. This is basically, I don't know what this is doing, but essentially it's going from the source to the destination, and then whatever happens in here can modify that. So this graphics blit sort of just copies one to the other. But what I want to do here is I want to apply a material. So you can see Copilot suggesting I have a material property here. I'm just going to add that material to my third argument. Now, if I look at this camera right here, we should have this material. Let me just make sure I'm good. Yeah, okay, probably good. Yeah, so now let's just create a material so that we can do our post-process. So you right click, create shader, image effect shader. Let's just call this main effect or something. And I'm going to double click on that shader, go in here. And so what this is doing, it's saying just invert the colors. So, and actually I can come up with a better effect. So if I found this repo on GitHub, Unity glitch shader. You know, I'm just going to copy paste basically this shader. I think this is, what is this one? A black and white shader. So you can mess around with that repo, but basically I'm just going to take everything here. I'm going to leave my original name, main effect, but this should do a black and white. And then I'm going to right click on this, create a material from it. And let's just call this main effect. Matte main effect, and go back to my camera, drag that in here, and then if I press play, everything works correctly. It should just be black and white basically. So it's really okay, why doesn't that work? So give me one sec here, let me just figure it out. Okay, sorry about that. So that turned out to be something really stupid. So all you have to do is go to this material, and I guess this one has this parameter which is like blending the original with the black and white. So if I just drag this slider over, you can see the effect is actually working. And I'm not going to go over how to make shaders, but basically the properties go right here, and then you mention the properties again here, and then you just use them in your fragment function. So now you can see it's having an effect in game mode, right? But not in the editor mode, and you can make it work in the editor mode if you add, what is it, execute in edit mode, and then also image effect allowed in scene view. And at this point it should simply work in the editor view. Yes, so that's cool. And I kind of I thought it'd be good to add a little toggle here to control whether it affects the scene view or not, because if the effects are getting kind of crazy, you might want to just turn it off real quick. So I'm going to make like a Boolean here, use edit mode, show in edit mode, okay, equals false or whatever, and then just an if and else here. So yeah. I think I've already written this code so Copilot knows what I want. Right. So what I wanted to do is I want to only, so if application is playing, which means I'm not, or show in edit mode, right? Then I'm going to use the post-process material, else I'm going to not use the post-process material. And I also probably want to do this only if the material is actually defined. So if the material not equals null, and yeah, I can't keep track of precedence, so I just use parentheses everywhere. So this should allow me to quickly toggle it on and off. Let me see what's going on here. Yes, so that should do it. Okay, so now let's talk about what this actual video is sort of the trick I'm showing, which is like, okay, let's say this character right here, I don't want this character to be black and white, for example, but this actual trick is more flexible than this. It's used for other things other than excluding a single character. But so basically, what I'm going to do is create a second camera here, which is a child of this camera. I'm going to just, I don't know what I want to call that. But then this camera, what I want to do is, so basically this character right here, I want to add this to a layer. And let's call this like second post process, right? Let's just call this the character layer, okay, for something like that. Or, yeah, sure, post character. So this layer is going to be character. Yes, change children. In our main camera, we want to change the culling mask, so we're not going to show the character. And if you see in this preview down here, it's not showing that character there. Well, I guess it doesn't really like to show it anyway, but it shows it as a little dot for some reason. Well, what's going on? Why is there two characters here? I'm a little confused. What's that? Oh, that's it. Okay. So yeah, you just turn off that, and then the second one you do just the second camera. Okay, so so this camera preview down here should be showing just the character, and I don't know why that doesn't seem to be working very well. I think what's happening is I think the camera is like maybe not correctly positioned before you start playing the game, which is why it doesn't show in the preview down here. So that's cool. I mean, I could probably just move that over this way or something, and then just turn it around. I don't know what I'm doing here. Oops. Wait. Okay, so that's the camera, and then do it. All right, this isn't really. So well, okay, so this camera doesn't show the character. This one does. You can see, so they show completely other things. This one shows the environment. This one shows the character. Okay, and now what I'm going to do on this second camera is I'm going to create a render texture. Just leave it a default name, and then in this second camera, I'm going to render to the render texture. Okay, and now okay, so that's kind of it, right? So if I play the game now, you're not going to see the character, basically. That's pretty much it. Like, the character is invisible, right? Because this main camera is not showing it, and then the second camera is showing to a render texture. This render texture is black, but you can see when the game is playing, the render texture is like not black. Yes. Yeah, you can see it's updating this little image every once in a while. Every time I move my character, it seems. So, okay, on my... basically, go back to my shader here. And I'm going to make another property, which is another texture. So let's just call it, like, character text. And give it a name here, like character texture, and then I'm going to give it a sampler 2D here, uniform sampler 2D, character text, and then basically what I'm going to do is simply switch between this texture here. I'm kind of going to just overlay that texture on top of the main texture. Okay, so I can say result equals lerp between, yeah, so it's giving me this here. So basically this text 2D, I'm doing a sample, of the character texture, the render texture, based on the UVs, screen space UVs. I'm interpolating between the regular result and that result. Right here it's doing BW blend. That's not correct. So I'm actually going to be doing, well, so I'm actually going to split this up. So I'm going to say, let's say like float for like character image equals sample that texture. I'm going to lerp between the result and the character image based on what? Based on the image, character image alpha. But so when the character image alpha is 1, I want to show the character image. Otherwise, I want to show the results. I'm going to switch the order there. And I do believe this should somewhat work. You may see something... well, okay, so I didn't actually set that parameter there. So that's not going to work yet. But if I go back to my material here, yeah, I'm going to put this back, put that reference in there. So that doesn't seem to be working. So just give me 1 second to debug. Okay, so I figured that out. So basically what you got to do is you need to go in your cameras and you need to change the clear flags to don't clear. So I guess you can't use a skybox with this setup. But then when you do that, we're actually getting an interesting effect right now. Not correct effect, but interesting effect, which is this. Yeah, so so basically there's 2 things wrong with this. First of all, I guess I messed up this, so you need to turn these around here. And then you're going to see, I want to see another interesting effect going on here. Yeah, so you're getting some like wacky business going on here. So if it kind of looks like what's happening, so there's a few things wrong here. First of all, most obviously, this thing is, the render texture is not being cleared. So it's just kind of overwriting itself. Second of all, the scale is messed up. The resolution is also low. It's kind of entertaining, but obviously not what we want. So let's fix this stuff. So first of all, so basically we're going to end up manipulating our script here. I'm just going to add a void update right now. And I'm going to add some public references here. So like, let's make a list of, what do you call it? Render textures. Okay, so this can be however many render textures you plug in. And in our update, every frame, we're going to say render textures. Can you do for each? And yeah, so for each render texture. Yeah, so render texture dot release. I don't want to destroy immediate, but render texture release will basically clear the buffer. So now we can just see how that looks. Oh, why doesn't that? Oh, because I didn't plug in the render texture. I'm a really bad tutorial giver here, but I have to type in 1 here. There's 1 render texture. I just plug in that. Oops. Plug in that render texture here, and that should do it. Yeah, now it's a little bit better, right? Okay. So now let's fix the scale. It's pretty easy actually to fix the scale. In this update function, I'm going to be like, what is it? Render texture dot width equals screen dot width. Yeah. Render texture dot height equals screen dot height. So that'll make our render texture sort of the same resolution as the screen, which should make it look pretty damn good, like pretty flawless, eh? You can't really tell, and this is mostly what I'm trying to show. Whoa, that's bizarre. Okay, so that's something I noticed that has to do with the wacky. So this is because the first camera is like still showing this image. What's going on with this? I forget how to fix this particular issue. But okay, I'm gonna try and fix that, and I'll come back to the tutorial. because I saw that before. Okay, so it was a pretty easy fix. Basically, I forgot. So the main camera, you actually do want to do the clear flags. I don't know if there's a tooltip. So what to display in empty areas of the camera's view? Yeah, so choose don't clear to display whatever was displayed in the previous frame in empty areas. So yeah, I guess on the main camera we do want to do skybox or solid color. We can just do a fun green for now, and let's just see what's going on. Okay, it's not green. That's because I have yeah, that I have black and whited it out, but you get the idea. So and okay, so the final thing about this is what I can do is I can apply a separate post process to my character here. And you might wonder, like, why would you do this? Because you could just do a post process on like the object shader level. But the thing is, well, first of all, so yeah, you could do that. Like, you could apply whatever shader effects you want on this guy, but post-process screen space shaders have a certain advantage, which is that you can do some interesting effects which are difficult to do with a standard object shader. For example, if you want to like grow or shrink this character in a typical object shader, you would have to do that, or I suppose you could say a surface shader. You would have to do that using displacement and verts, but using screen space, you don't need to touch the verts at all. So I can just show an example. I'm just going to do like a sine wave sort of manipulation on this character. So I'm going to make another shader here. Let's call this image effect. We'll just call this sine distortion. And I'm going to go ahead and just create a material for this off the bat. Let's just call this sine distortion. And I can basically add the same post-process camera script to the secondary camera here. This one does not need to clear the render textures because the other one's already doing it. So I can just plug in my material here, sine distortion. Oh, and one thing I wanted to add to mention about this is that, well, actually, never mind. I'll get to that later. Okay. So we have this sine distortion thing here. Okay, so let's edit our shader for now. So I'm just gonna make a sideways distortion effect generally has 3 parameters. We got like amplitude, and Copilot's so helpful because I don't remember all these syntaxes. So frequency and then speed. Okay. So I think these ranges are probably incorrect. I'm just going to have to mess with those a little bit. But then let's go down here and we'll say float amp, float speed, and float frequency. And then I'm going to basically, let's not invert the colors here. Let's basically do a UV distortion. So we'll say UV, let's say making a distortion on the X field. Yeah, so I've written this before, so Copilot suggested it, but I'm doing a sine based on the time. I don't know what time Y is, but sure. Time speed plus, yeah, so this is how you do a time-based sine wave effect with frequency and amplitude arguments. So we may not see anything. I think my undeclared identifier UV at line 50. Oh, it's I.UV. Okay. So yeah. So let me see if I can increase the range. I'm just gonna like literally increase the range of everything here. I think amplitude can be rather low, but frequency I do want to make it potentially very high, and same with speed. And let's just try cranking these up. Maybe I need to start over again. Let's see here. Let me figure out what's going on. I'll be right back. Oh, okay. So I'm kind of dumb. Like I had the thing turned off. My bad. So yeah, let's definitely turn down our amp a lot. We can mess with our frequency a little bit. Probably speed's got to be dramatically slower here. Like I don't know, but that's kind of fun. I don't know. Like it's. I mean, this isn't really practical as an effect. Like you probably don't want this thing, but maybe you do. But this is something that's kind of easy to do with a screen space shader. But I mean, you could probably do this with a vert shader without too much difficulty. But I don't know. There's a lot of stuff you can do with screen space shaders, obviously. So and you know, I can like, you know, let's say I'm gonna make it green, you know, or something. So I don't know, color times equals what is it? Color.rgb times equals float 3. I want to make it green, so 0 r 1.0 and 0. So that should work. And look, you even get live reload in this. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm applying different post-process effects to different objects in the scene. The background's still black and white. You can make this background dithered or whatever you want. That's pretty much my tutorial. It took me way too long to figure out, and I'm kind of happy I did it. Because I get to do silly things like this. So yeah. Cheers. Yeah, these allergies. All right. Take it easy. Bye.